What up, Rebel fam? Welcome here today, this lovely Wednesday, and this is Real Talk with Dope People. Thank you, DGO, for always setting the vibe. I'm over here.
Appreciate y'all.
Hey, Mama really got me in the mood. I'm
I had to do it, man.
Yeah, we ending this month of featuring Marijuana Mama's Right. On today's episode number 36, we're wrapping up with the lovely Imani Jones and Shanelly Pena. It's going to be a great episode. Here I am, Peter, our Director of Knowledge with On the Revel. Allow me to introduce our co-host, Jacoby Holland. Jacoby, how you doing?
What's good, Peter? How you doing, man?
I'm great, man. Yeah, like I said, that Hey Mama got me. All of the that a lot of I know Kanye is a controversial person, but there's so many of his songs that just are tied to my life and memories that, and that's one of them. So
yeah, I don't care. Everybody says Kanye's music for life. Kanye is a person for life. I still rock with him. Excited for this episode. We've been getting into it all month, and I have to say, we've had some really remarkable women the last couple episodes. So the bar is high for you, Shanelly and Imani. I'm gonna tell you right now, we've had some really dope women. But I know for sure that you guys will come through. I've already enjoyed getting to know them before the show, so it'll be a good one. Before we get into the interviews, let's definitely check in with what happened in cannabis this week, Peter.
So this week, a lot of stuff is going down. Shit's crazy out there. Cannabis is blowing up everywhere. But let's zoom in on New York, the lovely state, the Great Apple. The Shinecock Nation, a Native American tribe in Long Island, has declared some interest in growing cannabis. And the reason I wanted to shine light on this was that they're in a unique position because of the rights that tribal nations have for growing and doing what they want on their land. They have an opportunity to start constructing and building up and being one of the first organizations to be able to feed into the adult use New York market, which would be a huge opportunity for them. And so that's going to definitely trickle down to other tribal nations throughout New York. And we'll see what happens. But I thought it was super interesting. You never think about tribal nations on this side of things. I mostly think of it as like a West Coast thing.
You know what's interesting to me specifically for New York, if they have the opportunity to participate in the New York market, some of the pieces that were the most debated amongst the three parties to pass the MRTA was how do you actually start the industry? Because you have 10 really large players that are highly capitalized multi-state operators, except Etain. Etain's the only one that's not multi-state. And they're kind of positioning to say, hey, we want to supply all of the product to the retail markets. And then they're kind of putting aside priority for minority-owned businesses to be the actual retail, kind of like liquor stores. You could say you like that model or not, but the reason I bring it up is because this puts another player in the game that actually could be a supplier that wasn't coming from the medical market. So that could be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But they have to get up and running like ASAP.
Yeah. And that was discussed. They weren't touched at all in the latest round of legislation. So they're in a unique position. I'm, for one, if given the option, I'll buy some Native American weed before I buy some. I'll probably buy the RO weed, but either way, it's dope. Changing fronts on the scientific level, UCSD, the University of California, San Diego, has recently launched a double-blind, placebo-controlled trial on looking at the efficacy of cannabis on migraines. I know a lot of people, like 2 or 3 people I know who have debilitating migraines and are huge stoners for that exact reason. For the first double-blind, placebo-controlled trial to come out, it's a small trial, it's only 20 people, but I know that would be a huge validation for them and how their families see them, because I imagine how many countless people there are in that same situation. So,
do you know how they're having patients consume?
No. I didn't get into those details.
For sure. No, it's very interesting though. I mean, we know just from our experience in life that there's plenty of people that treat their migraines from that. Our last guest, Susan, had a 2-year migraine that she healed with cannabis. But there's probably millions of people that have migraines that don't feel comfortable or confident trying cannabis as a solution. So to give them that sort of validation would be encouraging.
Yeah. And then finally, for the last article or news tidbit, I wanted to put some light on this tax guide that Leafly just put out, specifically on California. And the reason I wanted to highlight that was Lulu put me on, and the reason I'm highlighting that is that it really breaks down how municipalities and different counties and the way that they choose to levy taxes on cannabis influences the prices and therefore the markets that those counties operate. And it's a really interesting guide. I would encourage anyone in California to check it out. But for the people not in California, check it out for your own education. Really try to dive in on how it is these counties are affecting the markets, how many retailers there are in a specific market, et cetera. There's a lot of data there, and it's very interesting. So it's a nice little guide produced by Leafly.
So a couple months ago, we had the OG Cheney Turner on our show, and she explained that in Oakland, how they passed legalization, they had social equity. You know, people get all excited about these things, but she's like, the fight's not over because taxes were still so high, nobody could actually get in the game. So the rich white companies were still running the tables. And so just first shout out to Cheney. She's making it happen in Oakland. But if you look at California, there's more counties where it is prohibited to sell marijuana than it is legal. Everybody thinks like California is like the Mecca, which in many ways it kind of is, but more places say no than say yes. And then the ones that do say yes, how do they actually tax those companies? A lot of times they crush them. Or small, they think that they're just gold mines and they take every dollar they possibly can out. And with 280E, a federal tax rule, makes it really, really hard for small players to compete. So New York passed, New Jersey passed, but it's going to be important that we really get serious about how companies are taxed. I think they could go up to like an additional 4% in each county. So we'll need to stay close to that, see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, really complicated. And so for all you read heads, want to be, who are also math heads, this is the place to be. And policy heads, I guess, too. Let's not leave anybody out.
Or stoners, whatever. We're all out here. All right, cool, Peter. Appreciate it. Thank you as always. I'm ready to get into this episode. We kind of touched on this earlier. We have two amazing women joining us. Imani, let's start with you. How are you? How's your day going?
It's good. It started at 5 a.m. but it's going good. Okay, excited to be here.
I appreciate you coming into the evening with us. It's a long day.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. And Shanelly, how you doing?
It's good. Started early, like Imani said. I'm excited for the rest of this month. I want this month to be over because it's just been busy. I feel like this year was busy, and it has not toned down.
Yeah, well, this is the most still I've seen both of you. Last time I talked to Shanelly yesterday, she was at Taekwondo.
Yes.
Also talking to us, and then her son's popping in the screen. So just a testament to how busy of women you guys are. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here. Very excited. Thanks for creating the space.
Sweet. So let's talk about it. I want to just understand who you women are. Where are you from? Where are you located? And how old are your respective children? Let's start with you, Imani.
Yeah, I'm from New York, born and raised. I kind of borough hopped all around, so I feel like I got the full experience in New York. Who I am. So I created the Hippy Mom, for those who don't know. That's my second baby. And it's just basically my thoughts on captions. My Instagram is pretty open. I don't ever hide anything. I'm super vulnerable. about my journey with my son, Jude, who is 4 years old, and he's on the spectrum of autism. So I'm vocal about our journey, and the whole purpose of the blog is to heal him and to document that healing. First, I have to attack the gut, because the gut is where all illnesses lie, and I'm going to work my way through the gut and see where that goes. So that's a little bit about me.
That's dope. What part of New York are you in now?
I'm in Yonkers.
All right, let's go.
Yeah.
Shout out to Yonkers.
Yonkers.
All right, and Shanelly.
Yes, what's up? I am from New York as well. I'm from Harlem, born and raised. I'm currently now in Jersey. I've been all over the East Coast, but I'm from New York and now I'm in Jersey. Who am I? So many things, right? Because we're constantly growing and evolving, but I think many people know me for Higher Dining. I founded Higher Dining alongside my sister, which started as an experience that we created to represent the luxe and smoke-centric dining experience of New York City. I'm a little bit nervous, sorry, but yeah. So Higher Dining, and we create products and experiences to enhance your lifestyle by smoking, intaking it through edibles, or just pairing it with things.
Dope. I'm excited to get into understanding a bit about higher dining in general and your experience as a mother as well. The first question I just want to ask both of you is your experience with cannabis, right? It's been prohibited in New York for as long as I can remember, though it was decriminalized in the 70s. A lot of people don't know that. But tell me about like your experience with cannabis. How did you individually find the plant, and what does it do for you?
Okay, I guess I'll go. And I forgot to mention, my boy is 5 years old. I got into weed. My father's been a smoker my entire life. So I first learned about weed when I was 5 years old. I saw him smoking and I thought it was like the most insane drug until I became an adult. I used to judge people that smoke weed because I thought it was a gateway drug, and it just led you to have, I judged weed based on my dad, on the person that he is. And let's not get into it, but I judged weed. It was a really bad judgment. And then it was a recreational use that I used it in college just for fun. It was always available and it was a fun thing to do. It brought me closer to my friends, and it also brought me closer to food. Like I used to enjoy food way more when I was high. And then after I had my son, I started being more intentional with it, and I started self-medicating for my anxiety. And I just started like really being careful with how much I took, just so that I can function well on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so what's that look like today? Like what's a dose that you would do to function well?
I pre-roll my joints every evening, and I would smoke it around 2 p.m. with a cup of coffee, and it would be about 2 to 3 pulls. That would be a daily. However, I'd rather smoke by myself, but I can also smoke with friends. So if it's with a friend, I would like to go, like me and Imani, we've been on hikes together. I can smoke it before a lunch, but I'd rather smoke it on my own with a cup of coffee, just so that I can go on with my day-to-day. Like that's my personal intake. If it's recreational, we're smoking all night.
Yo, she got it to a science. 2 p.m., couple pulls with the coffee. All right, cool. Got the formula.
I'm a mom. I gotta keep it right there. Like, and I pick up my son at 3:15. So at 3:15, I'm happy-go-lucky. We about to do this.
That's what's up. And what about you, Imani?
So as of lately, okay, when I first discovered the plant, I feel like it discovered me. And I say that because I was really a high anxiety teenager. And then I discovered weed, and I was like, whoa, what is this? And then I wasn't intentional with it. I kept like just smoking blunts, or, we're from New York. So blunts with friends, and I wasn't digging the feeling of that social anxiety that you feel, when you smoke in a circle. So I didn't really take it too seriously. It wasn't until I became a mom that I was like, all right, we got to figure this out. And I started exploring the strands. And, now it's, wake up, bake, get my coffee going and start the day. And I really, truly feel like it makes me a better person. And then in return, makes me a better mom, because it gives me patience, and I'm able to deal with whatever is thrown at me. And I'm just like, whatever, man. You want to throw the Legos? It's cool. It's fine. It's all good, So that's kind of my thing. And then at night, it's definitely some tea, a joint, or, I do, I'm actually drinking some of your honey, Shanelly, the higher, yeah. I have some in here. I do that throughout the day to kind of just stabilize the mood. And then at night, 2, 3, who knows? Wherever the night takes me, but it's really my self-care. And it's all about intention, I feel.
It's interesting because for both of you and your completely disparate paths of life, kind of found the plant young, but then really brought some intentionality once you had your child. So in a way that, like, your bond with Mary Jane has actually become a little bit better in its own regard, because of both of your children. So I think that's very interesting and very cool. And I think about so many women who might get value as a mother because of that, but there's a certain stigma in a ton of different cultures throughout our country that stone moms aren't necessarily good moms. And from my experience, I could say that that's a complete lie, or it's a myth, I should say. But what do you guys think about dealing with that stigma as like a consuming mother? Imani, why don't you go?
The stigma is going to always be there, I feel. It's like one of those things where it's like, you got to know that you're a good person. You got to know that you're a good mother. And at the end of the day, no one knows what you go throughout the day to day. And I explained that, my son is on the spectrum. There's so many hurdles that come with that. And at the end of the day, if I'm going to go through meltdown after meltdown with my son, his moods are all over the place. If he's headbanging, if he's not happy, he can't communicate because he's nonverbal. If we're going to have a really difficult day, then I have to find that peace within myself. And so that stigma, I literally am like over it. Like I know that it's there. I'm sure there are people who judge me, but at this point I'm just like, yeah, but man, I'm such a good mom, and I know that. So whatever. And I think that's just what it is. You just have to accept that there are going to be people that are going to judge you for it. And as long as you know that you are doing it with intention and you're not on the couch like zoned out, then it's all good, And even if you are on the couch zoned out, is your kid fine, alive, fed, good? Okay, then what's the judgment? I don't get it.
You are a good mom. Let me just say that.
Oh,
great mom. I want to say it's very easy to constantly point fingers and judge from the outside looking in. Like, I don't ever see anyone judging people for getting drunk at parties or doing all sorts of other things. And once you get the mom guilt down packed, because it's a real thing, then you're good to go. Like, once you know that you're set and you're doing the best that you can, because day by day you're doing the best that you can. It's going to change constantly. Like, some days we might have harder days. Like, mornings might be difficult, and people will judge, oh, that's because you smoke weed, this and that. No, it's not. I'm actually a way better human being because I smoke weed. If I didn't, this conversation would be different right now. Like, the conversation of someone judging me would be different. So yeah, the stigma will always be there. I feel like the smoker or the user just has to be sure of who they are.
You're a great mom too, by the way.
Hey, let's go. Women supporting women all month. Let's go. All right. So I'm going to switch it up. It was good to get to know you guys. But I want to actually talk about your specific companies for a second here. Imani, or I don't know if you want to, however you want to classify it, like the Hippy Mom is like this story and this kind of glimpse into your life as a mother of a child on the spectrum. And you talked a lot about how you can heal with the gut. And similarly, Shanelly, your business is all about food. So we got some women that know about food here today. And so the first thing I kind of want to understand from you, Imani, is like, break it down to me, like what you mean about like healing from the gut and how that actually is realized with your child. How is that actually implemented?
So I'll just go into why I went into this whole, I don't know if you hear my son, sorry. This whole thing of just focusing on gut health. I realized that autism is directly connected to the gut because most autistic children and people have inflamed guts. And if you realize that you have two brains, so you have an actual brain and then there's a brain here, there's an actual brain in your gut, then if you heal your gut, then you can heal your brain. And so I feel like that's why I'm just so passionate about gut health. I truly feel that if I were to focus on his gut health and make sure that his inflammation is low, then I can get a better hold on his symptoms overall, and then perhaps get him to a place where he's not only functioning, but he's verbal again. So I'm not an expert, but it's definitely trial and error. I find, things that I just focus on things that are going to be anti-inflammatory. CBD oil is a huge one. I do lemon balm, like that's an herb, skullcap. I can name a whole bunch of herbs that I'm just kind of dabbling in and see, what works for him, what doesn't work for him. But yeah, gut health is really, it's so underrated. And I feel like, especially in our culture, we're taught to eat just shitty food. I don't know. It's not really implemented to eat organic or to eat healthy. And then, that's a whole nother thing in itself, because I know that if we have the resources in the Black and Latino community, perhaps then we could make better decisions. But some people don't have those resources. So that's really where my blog comes in, is to really inform people. You know what? I don't have a whole lot of money, but at the end of the day, I make it work. And you too can have, a good gut if you follow just simple protocol, like make sure that your diet is anti-inflammatory, eat more or like organic foods, whole foods. And I just want people to just leave feeling super empowered and being able to feel like, okay, I am my own healer. Ultimately, we all have the tools to heal ourselves. It's all about tapping in. I don't know if I'm just rambling at this point, but I'm so passionate. It's hard to kind of just like narrow it down to a few sentences, but overall, the Hippy Mom is going to expand into herbal needs, herbal cigarettes, tinctures, teas, like you name it. I'm trying to provide everything that I learned that I know that is helpful and beneficial in our journey for other people to get access to, and then maybe do the same steps and perhaps heal their children from whatever neurological issues that they may be facing.
Yo, wish you the best of luck launching all those products. And if that's happening in New York, let us know, because we're all about supporting our community out here. And
actually, the herbal cigarettes are already out. I'm working on getting it on a Shopify almost. like similar to a Shopify, but it's actually geared towards just organic things. So that should be live by the middle of June. And I'm excited, you know, I just want people to feel super empowered because we're really in a weird time right now where, you know, especially with health, right? Health is at the front line right now with everything going on. I want everyone to feel like, no, you don't have to freak out. You can for sure build your own immunity within yourself.
For sure. Definitely make sure we get the info on that. I have a question for you though, kind of as a complete dummy to the topic. When you say that most of us have like an inflamed gut, like what does that mean? Does that like it, how do I know if my gut is inflamed? And then is it like a reactive way to dose it with CBD? Like explain to me what you mean that most of our guts are inflamed. I can't comprehend.
So symptoms of an inflamed gut are, you name it, migraine, skin issues, bowel movements aren't, you know, up to par. I don't know. There's, you name it. If you have a hard time sleeping, if you are irritable, if you have mood swings, these are all signs of an inflamed gut. These are very minor things. And a lot of times people go to the doctor and they say, you know, I'm having this reoccurring headache. And for the most part, doctors will tell you, okay, well, here's a prescription and that will be it. But at the end of the day, like your diet is 100% linked to whatever symptoms you may be experiencing. So that's kind of what I mean. Like majority of people have an inflamed gut. If you are consuming dairy, you are 100% have some sort of inflammation. I don't want people to feel like, oh my God, how can I, now what? Now what do I do? I think it's more of like just being like intentional with what you eat and notice how you feel after, you know, like make sure like you keep note, okay, I had a pizza, now I'm feeling sluggish. Now I feel irritable. Like, okay, maybe like not have that all the time, you know, like that's kind of I hope that helps. I mean, I'm not an expert, I'll say that again, but that's just something that I know for a fact. Everyone has some sort of gut inflammation.
Got you. Honestly, this might sound like I'm an idiot, but I actually wrote that in my Google and I'm about to start looking that up for some other people in my lives. I'm like, you know what? You might have some gut inflammation. This might actually be the problem that we were thinking about this whole time. So I appreciate that. I'm gonna switch it up now on the other side of the food world. Now, food can heal us physically. It's what we put in, but it also can heal us because it creates environments for us to socialize, and it like creates camaraderie and it brings people together. And I want to talk about Shanelly, your company, Higher Dining, right? Like, tell me like what specifically is special about Higher Dining. I realize you guys have food events in New York. Like what's special about what you guys do?
Well, where do we start? Higher Dining is just special. It's my baby, so disregard that I just love it so much. I think it's special because we bring forth our culture while also educating everyone that comes through. I started being intentional with cannabis, but I started also being intentional with everything that I intake in my body. So I like to notice how things affect my mood and my habits. And I like to bring that with Higher Dining while also representing always my culture.
That's what's up. And you're Dominican, right?
I am Dominican. But I'm from New York, so it's like, and I went to an HBCU. I studied abroad in Paris, so it's just like a whole melting pot that I like to bring through to my dining experiences.
Oh, wow.
While also bringing in what I like to learn while smoking and also eating.
Okay, so in our audience, there's mostly people from New York. I have a ton of aspiring entrepreneurs, people that have an idea, they kind of want to launch a product, and I'll tell you right now, So sometimes the hardest thing is to do the first one, right? So many people are like, I've been wanting to do this thing. I've been thinking about it. It's coming. But actually deciding, you know what? We're about to do this. I don't care. There's going to be mistakes. It's going to be clunky. So when was your first event? And talk to me about like what happened in that first event.
Sure. My first event was in 2017, and it was on the July 4th weekend. It was July 3rd to be exact. And I decided to do it that weekend just because I thought a lot of my friends would be over that weekend and they would support. So I'm like, oh, let me just grab some friends and create this experience and see how it goes and see if I can make it happen. And it was, honestly, I thought about it for 2 weeks, made it happen, because for me, it's usually easy to just do an event and then I can procrastinate on the other thing. It's hard for me to keep it going. And in the event, it was in my mom's backyard, a really hot summer day, and then it started pouring on us like randomly. And I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Because none of my friends came. It was just all like a lot of 50% strangers and then 20% friends and then 10% or 30% of my mom's friends. So it was just only 10% with people that I felt comfortable with. So I had to make something happen fast. So we all ended up in my mom's dining room. There was people rolling up in her living room, people in the bathroom, like everyone was smoking in the house. And I was just like, oh my God, my mom is about to embarrass me. And whatever I decided to do, this is not going anywhere, please. And she was okay with it. She was very supportive. She helped us through everything and made everyone feel comfortable in her home. There was even people in my mom's garage. But yeah, and then after that, I sat down with my sister. I'm like, we've got something going. Like we have 60 people. And to mention, like after that, we decided to do 2 seatings rather than 1 seating. The most that we've had has been 80 people, but we rather create it small. Like 30 people is perfect just because we can be very detailed and it can be more intimate. But yeah, it was fun. I learned a lot from that.
Yeah, I mean, most people, when they start something, they might sell a couple units of something or sell a couple tickets, but it's all to their friends. So you're telling me that like you got people that weren't even really that tight with you that came to your very first event. How did they find out about it?
I put myself a lot out of my comfort zone. I was visiting a lot of happy hours and just going up to people with flyers, which we don't even do that anymore. I was also posting in like coffee shops. They have community boards. And I would post a flyer. I would like stop people to follow our page. My husband is also very outspoken, so he helped me a lot in that. A lot of sharing on social media. I was also sharing with friends, but also with people that I just follow and that I was interested in their brands. And yeah, it was like a lot of work.
Oh, you scrappy with that guerrilla marketing.
A lot of campaigning.
Yeah, you're dangerous with that. That's cool. That's cool. I mean, like I said, that's some of the toughest things is to get people that don't even know you. They don't know your brand. Like, why should I trust you? What experience am I going to get? And they actually showed up. And so I think that's pretty cool. It then gives you the confidence, like, you know what? We're onto something. Let's level up. So if I were to come to something now, what are the things that like you've leveled up? What are the things you've learned from that first event that are better now?
Before I answer that question, I wanted to add, I find myself constantly doing the same thing. Like I find myself at least once a year, hitting people up on social media, just emailing random people to come and check out the brand, just because I feel like word of mouth is the best form of marketing. It's the best. So with that event, it was like a 7-course menu. We had different wines with different.
Wait, did you say 7?
Yeah, it was like a 7-course menu.
7? Okay.
Yeah, I overdid it. And then we started cutting down. Then it was a 6-course menu and we did a cocktail bar, a cocktail hour. But now it's a 4-course menu and we do 2 weed pairings with 2 different wines or cocktail. It's a personal joint. We used to also do live sessions, but the pandemic has changed all of that. We also do strain tastings. We can walk around and you can see the weed, taste it, smell it. And we're trying to decide how we're going to be tasting it because we used to do bong tastings.
First of all, we need to invite next one, Revel team coming through, yes, just so you know. That's cool. And so what has been the benefits to people that attend? They obviously are getting good food. They're obviously getting good weed, but like, what's the feedback you've gotten from people?
It's an experience in its own. Like as soon as you walk in, you're welcome with cannabis. You see different types of strains that people that come to my events are stoners. they love weed. Like some way, somehow you just love weed. And it's not only for the food. So they love the experience. They love the food and how they enjoy how much you cannot taste the weed in the food. So people have really appreciate that they can get really high and not taste it.
Okay, so you're kind of, both of you are operating in New York, right? Which is an interesting kind of like transitionary period, kind of going into kind of legalization. How do you guys envision what you're doing changing in the next year or 2 or 3 as a full legalization comes on? Why don't you start, Shanelly?
Sure. I'm just thinking of for like a year or 2, I can see more clients being open to having cannabis dinner experiences in a mixture of just it being like you can have a normal barbecue, but also have cannabis dining experiences. And also more products that we can create, testing on the products. And eventually we would like to move into the dispensary avenue, but that's like years down the line.
And Imani, what do you envision for this cannabis world in the next year or 2 or 3?
For the stupid stigma to go away. The stigma, that stigma, man. Those judgmental moms that, you know, look at me sideways. Like, I want all of that to go away. And I hope to see more mothers adapt to it, you know, and use it on their day-to-day, and let that stigma, you know, to go away, because at the end of it, like, it's medicine, you know, it's complete natural, and it's what we all need, especially in these really weird times. I feel like you need to be able to go inward, and that's what the plant does, you know. And so I hope that that awakens for other people, and that they start to explore and they get that same anxiety relief that plant has totally given me. You know what I mean? So normalize play dates with weed, okay? Can we do that in the next year?
It's hard to find moms that openly smoke. I feel like they need to start opening. I'm glad that it's legalized, but it needs to start being opened up to these elite clubs so that people stop looking down upon it. Like Soho House, you need to have a smoking room.
Yes.
A THC smoking room, not the CBD in the cocktail. We want smoking experiences.
Yes, I totally agree with that. You know, if we can maybe 5 years from now, one of those bounce you like smokers section for the parents. I mean, responsibly, obviously, but like if your kid is playing, why not? Like, smoke break.
Yo, that's crazy, because I was thinking how there's so many parents and mothers specifically that are consumers, but it's probably pretty hard for moms to like, would she want me to bring this up? You know, like you're both watching Taekwondo, you're sitting in the car right next to each other. You're like, how do you have that conversation? Has that ever happened to you guys in like a daily life? You're like, oh, I know that mom is with it.
Man, I don't think I've been privileged like that. I think it's very rare. Like, I feel like I scout them. As soon as I see a mom that can potentially smoke, I'll open up the conversation. But I feel like it's very rare, honestly.
Quick story. I was on a play date, and the mom had went to the store. Like, she was like, oh, can you double park here? I'm just gonna go and run into the store real quick. I'm like, yeah, no problem. So I'm sitting in the car, and she comes back, and she reeks of weed, and I'm like, you smoke? And she's like, yeah. And I was like, hey, like, we friends for life. So that was a cool, like, okay, like you cool in my book. And that was like a cool bonding moment. But I hope, like I said, I hope that these conversations allow the gateway to open up for other mothers to feel comfortable enough to use the herb comfortably without the stigma.
I could definitely see a world where the hippie mom has a little pendant that they could just stick on their purses, and then that's how you can.
Hell yeah. I love that. Like a little cult kind of thing.
Yeah, like the little
A
pins
little
that
bit.
you can put on a purse strap or on your shirt or something.
I love that. I love that.
Oh, you a hippie mom?
You a hippie mom. I love that. Let's speak that into existence. You know, there's endless possibilities of how this can go. I'm just beginning off as a small business and I have so many ideas for the brand. But specifically, the herbal cigarettes have been like the thing that's been getting people kind of comfortable with the idea of smoking because, you know, it's not weed, it's just herbs, but I make these concoctions of different herbs for different things. Yeah, see?
Herbs too. The dropping seeds.
Yes.
Yeah. I like my herbal spliffs with indication specific intentions. So
I like to lace my joints with herbal spliffs, but I've also enjoyed just herbal spliffs. Like I've traveled with them and they don't get me super high, but it gives you like, you know, a little buzz that you can enjoy.
Yeah, see, that buzz is, you need that. It like gives you that same kind of like anxiety relief, or just like I feel like a warm hug internally. There is this one herb that I'm trying to get a hold of, but it's kind of illegal in the United States. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that though. It's called Blue Lotus, and I've been trying to get it because it gives you lucid dreams. But I can't find it anywhere. So if anyone watching knows, hit me up. Let me know how to get that herb.
Yeah, I have a friend who he's super into lucid dreaming, and he has some.
Oh.
So I'll hit him up. I'll find the connect. I'll let you know. But I don't think Blue Lotus is illegal. That's why I feel comfortable saying it. But yeah,
it's not. Okay, so someone said that from an herb shop. I asked them, you know, do you carry Blue Lotus? And she said something about it being hard to find in the United States, or she did use the word illegal, but I don't know if it's banned or if there are just a lot of rules on trying to get a big batch of it just because of the lucid dreaming. And then it also causes hallucinations a little bit. But I mean, listen, all in good fun.
Check out herb shops in Portland, in Oregon. Maybe out in the West
Portland
Coast.
or okay.
It's more restricted on herbs out here.
Yo,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a restriction in New York.
I guarantee that Lulu, who couldn't join us today, knows all about this stuff. Like she knows all the things when it comes to trying to find something that's a herb or some ancient medicine. When I'm sick, she sends me to go get something I've never heard of. So we're going to talk to Lulu. She wasn't able to join us today, but she's for sure the plug to figure that out.
Yeah, I want to know where to find that. So
some lucid dreams. That sounds fun to me.
Yeah, on the herbs point, I really identify with your son Jude, Imani. I am definitely on the spectrum in some way. I feel like, especially as a young child, I made my mom go back to church. So I was a really bad. All my teachers, my mom got multiple teachers fired for trying to say I needed drugs and such. But I used to, what herbal tincture she used for me was valerian root, which herbs and calm. And so she used to give me that tincture at night and in the morning. So yeah, I mean, it's powerful, and it's super difficult. I know, being a mom with a child on the spectrum. So shout out to you for being a scientist.
Thank you.
Things you do.
Shout out to your mom, Peter.
Yeah.
You're so well behaved now. I'm proud of you.
Right. I think it was vicarious trauma that really kind of switched it up, and her being more transparent with her stories. and kind of just like when I was like 10, her just being real and like telling me, like we were in church too, so the pastor's daughter has all the gossip and stuff, and like I think it was more of a perspective shift that kind of helped me calm down and realize, all the things that I do, my hyperactivity is affecting her. And it was at that moment I feel like a lot of my behavioral change happened, especially as an adult, like when I was younger. So.
I am a believer though that storytelling, like sharing your stories and saying them out loud in front of strangers, has a form of healing that nothing else can tap into that. Like storytelling, your story has definitely a form of healing. I did that with my son. When I first had my son, I was in a lot of different mom groups, and I don't like speaking to people. I'm not really a public speaker, but it would just get me out of my comfort zone. And the questions that were asked would tap into my childhood and then into teenagers and adulthood. And it was just, you could just see the levels and the growth of it. So yeah, storytelling is definitely a form of healing.
Oh yeah, because there's nothing like being able to relate to someone else's pain and being like, oh, okay, it's okay for me to feel that pain. It's okay, it's valid. What I'm feeling is valid. So for sure. And we're weird like that. We get comforted by someone else's trauma.
Yeah, I mean, well, the community in New York is so vast, and I guess New Jersey too. Shout out to New Jersey. The community on the East Coast is so diverse with people. There's without a doubt hundreds, if not thousands of people going through similar things to you. But it's so easy for us to like isolate into our own bubble and forget. And for me personally, I think that's one of the things that I like and also scares me sometimes when I'm smoking, is it forces me to get out of my own head. And it's sometimes I don't even want to think about that and I don't want to go there. But once you kind of step out and realize that there's so much more to it, there's so many other people going through what you're going through, that it's valid. Like you do you, right? Like you're a good mom. Who cares what anybody else thinks, right? So yeah, that's why I think it's so powerful.
Yeah, I want to tap in on this, like we kind of dance around this aspect of the different routes of administration, ingestion versus smoking, and how that influences our high and how that can influence like the activities that we engage in. But since we're having a conversation on gut health and on all these different things, I wanted to, if we could dive in on that aspect to cannabis consumption.
You're talking to me, right?
Yeah, I mean, for the group, yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Shanelly, you go first.
I'll go first. Every strain can make you feel different things. It's if you smoke it or infuse it. I've also learned a lot about when infusing, when making oils. I learned how to infuse it. Like if it's a citrus strain, what am I infusing it with? I feel like whatever you eat also has an effect on it. Let me get straight to the point. So if you smoke on a heavy stomach, that has a different effect. It doesn't matter the strain that it is. If you smoke on a light stomach, if you take an edible on an empty stomach, it has a different effect on your body than if you take an edible on a full stomach, like alcohol. For me, I've learned a lot about my body on what I like to enjoy. So I can enjoy smoking and edibles when I'm on vacation because I can just be smacked all day. But I'd rather enjoy a little bit of my high honey that has a proper dosage in the morning and in the evening and smoking throughout the day. It's just, I feel like it depends on what you eat, on what's already in your body, and also on environment. Like if you're in nature, smoking edibles, whatever it is, it just feels way better rather than if you're like in loud noise under the train station, in the projects, which is where I used to live, and smoking a joint in my backyard now. Like I'm just like, oh my God, thank you. Like it's so much more that you can appreciate. So environment has an effect. Whatever you have in your gut and whatever's on your mind also has an effect. Like there's so many different things that affect how you're going to feel when you're high.
I want to add on that. just bringing it to not THC specifically, but CBD. So I use the CBD for my son. And what I find is if I give him a full on dropper, I'm talking about full on dropper because he is hyperactive. He may be diagnosed with ADHD. We just went to the doctors today as well. So he might have ADHD along with autism. So there's just a lot of energy, you know? So when I give him CBD, a full dropper in the mornings before he eats, oh, it's copacetic. That whole morning, it's great. It's smooth. We're chilling. I could see it wear off. I give him a little more, not a full dropper, but just little drops here and there throughout the day. And I see the difference from when he eats to when it's a empty stomach. So I feel like perhaps maybe he absorbs it better when he is just full on empty stomach rather than as he goes on, he's eating. You know, I try my best to clean his diet, but he's in school, he's eating goldfish, he's eating, you know, whatever's there. At the end of the day, that's going to cause a different, you know, because it's inflamed. It causes something in his stomach for it to act up. And he can't verbalize he's feeling pain or discomfort. So yeah, definitely pairing it and finding the right dosage and pairing it with the right foods has helped the effects of CBD. And then that goes to like edibles. Like for me, I do a gummy, and if I do a 5 milligram with an empty stomach, that is going to get me zooted. And I'm like, you know, like, whoa, throughout the day rather than doing that with a full on meal. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers anything that has to do with gut health and cannabis, but definitely consuming it and finding the right foods to go along to complement it definitely helps the effects of the plant. So yeah.
Oh no, for sure. You answered you guys both hit so many aspects. The basics of pharmacokinetics, fed and fasted state, and how drugs get absorbed. It's super complicated. You guys there's an intuition that every person's body has for these things. And it's amazing to see it come out. And so, yeah, I know, I appreciate you guys' perspectives.
See, that's why I love Peter. He can say something that I thought I understood with some words I never heard before and just put me on. Like, I appreciate you, bro. All right, look, so we're at the top of the hour. We got to go pretty soon. But once again, I truly, truly appreciate both of you ladies for joining us. Before we go, I do want to just mention that On the Revel has existed for about 4 years, mostly out of New York. And one of our greatest goals has been to put people of color in the spotlight of cannabis, especially on the East Coast. So we've been bringing a lot of our speakers from other states intentionally to educate our New York community. But recently, we've also doubled down on highlighting the people that are already doing dope things in New York and New Jersey, so that when all these big dogs come into the game in the next couple months and years, honestly, we know who are the OGs, the people that were doing stuff before there was some licensing process, before like everybody felt comfortable about it. And so I say that to say, I appreciate what both of you guys have been doing over the last few years. And we as the Revel community want to support you guys and lift you guys up as much as possible. So please plug yourself as much as you can right now. We're going to share this with our people. And over the next couple of years, we hope to support. I'm definitely trying to come to one of those higher dining events, get smacked up with Peter, and we'll take it from there. So please, Shanelly, like, tell us where we can find you, how we can help support you, what's on the horizon.
Yes, of course. My website is higherdining.com, and we have a lot of things coming up. In the fall, we'll be launching a new membership kit it's going to come out like for the holiday season. We're also working on a coffee table book. And you can find us on Instagram at Higher Dining, and my personal Instagram is It's Shanelly. So you can hit me up on my DMs, email us, website, whatever you like.
All right, for sure. And Imani, how about you?
Yeah, so the herbal cigarettes will be live on a website by the mid-June. But if you are interested, definitely hit my line, Instagram. It's at the Hippy, Hippy mom. And my website is being revamped, but I'm super excited about that because we're going to just have the mom group there, autism mother group, which is actually still going. So if you wanted to join, just hit me up on DM and we'll get you started and involved in that. But yeah, www.thehippymom.com, and all cash apping, just want to put that out there, is the Hippy Mom. Okay.
Cash app. Yo, and the mom group, the pendant's coming soon for the ones that really know.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah. I love that idea. That's coming. Thank you, Peter, for
you
that
heard it here first. Peter's our ideas guy. Peter be throwing out fire ideas, so be careful.
There are benefits to being on the spectrum.
Facts.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. There really is. I mean, the memory is outstanding. The memory, the memorization, all of it. Like, I just admire all people on the spectrum. Super just special people. They're just so special. And I just want people to feel empowered that they can come out and be on the spectrum and not feel that weird social stigma that's attached to it. And yeah, normalize neurodivergent, neurological disorders.
Yeah, most definitely. I love that. Last thing I'll say, this is the end of our May theme, shouting out all the mothers, and we appreciate all of you. Next week, we are starting a whole new season. We have like 10 episodes planned. Lulu's making it happen. Once again, shout out to Lulu. We're sorry she couldn't join us today. So make sure to join those. We will be putting all of these on a podcast now too. So I know the weather's getting nice. People don't want to sit in front of their computers. I feel that in my bones. So you could just listen to it. And then we used to have some really dope events. I got to like pat myself on the shoulder, and Peter and the rest of our team. We haven't had an event in over 18 months. We're not going to have anything like our past ones with a bunch of speakers coming on stage and a whole bunch of production. We are just going to have a meetup in the park with the homies in the cannabis community coming up in 2 weekends, I think it is, Peter. I'm looking at you, but I don't think you got it memorized. But everybody here is probably on our email list and our social media. So we'll be doing that about 2 weekends. It's just a casual meetup with people in the cannabis community. You might find another mom that's a low-key chiefer. You guys could be BFFs. You might find your next business partner or find someone that could do your website for you. So you never know. Come through to our next event. We'll send all the details. And on that note, I just want to thank everybody that joined on Zoom, everybody that joined on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, the future podcast, wherever you are. We appreciate you. And on that note, I'm out. We'll see you guys later. And Oscar, you could take it away, bro.